Hi there folks, my name's NovaWing24 and welcome to another little review of a prepared and ESP platform product. So we are here today looking at one of the, well, it came out just before Christmas and I was hoping to get this review to you before Christmas, but it wasn't to be. So here we are just post-Christmas, but we are here with the Just Flight's Robin DR400. Now, this aircraft seems to be becoming really popular all of a sudden. But before we get into that, I do want to say thank you very much. We're going to start this review by saying thank you very much to the team over at Just Flight for providing me with the review copy of this aircraft today. And of course, we are here in Lockheed Martin's prepared version 4.5 today. Going to be experiencing that, so we can experience some of the textures and fun stuff like that. Right, okay, so we're going to do our usual sort of video review. We're going to be going through the outside here. We're going to go through the startup. We're going to go through a bit of a test flight, and then we'll do our final conclusions when we get to the other end. Now, before I get too far into this review, though, like this aircraft's like got some, like, I'm really interested with it at the moment. So, the Robin DR400 is an aircraft that, for me, I really didn't know anything about. Until I actually started doing scenery design. So, many moons ago, I had a very small scale, so did some airport tweaking development for some customers and clients, and for a flight sim community that I'm part of, and I did a grand tour of Australia, and as part of that, I sort of updated a lot of airports. Ones that were missed even by the likes of Orbix and OzX. And when I was sort of delving into the whole idea of scenery design, one of the scenery sort of static elements that's in the ESP platforms is a Robin DR400, and I thought it was really weird looking canted wing monoplane. It's kind of quaint, kind of cool, but kind of quirky and kind of weird. Anyway, that was sort of like it. And then suddenly the Robin DR400s had a absolute sort of real, I don't want to say resurgence, but it's definitely sort of come to life in flight simming over the last sort of couple of years. So we saw it, and actually, funny enough, it all started with Aerofly. So Aerofly FS2 released a Robin DR400, and it's as one of their product updates. And it's really kind of impressive, actually. And it's kind of nice, kind of cool. Not as in-depth system-wise as that sim seems to suffer from. However, it was still, a really good, it was a really neat little aircraft. And then, of course, we saw it come to life with Microsoft's upcoming new simulator, Microsoft's reboot of the Microsoft Flight Simulator franchise. The DR400 is one of their, when we were speaking with the devs at the preview event, the DR400 is an aircraft that the developers actually have hands-on sort of access to. And they actually created a home cockpit for them to actually sort of test the new sim with. And it was based on a Robin DR400. And then now we have Just Flight, who've actually come on board and done and brought their sort of expertise of doing GA aircraft. They've come and brought the DR400 to life in the ESP world and also in the X-Plane 11 world. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to bring you a review of that one shortly as well. So, with that sort of long, meandering sort of experience by Rob DR400, what is a DR400? So basically, as I said, it's a low-wing cantilever monoplane with this sort of, and the reason why it is a little weird is sort of to do with this. So if we just sort of zip the view around here for a second to get this front-on view, so you can see that we've got this sort of, like the wingtips are sort of got their winglets, as it were. Not quite the same degree that we see in the 737, but this sort of idea of having the canted wing going up at the end. And it's a very distinctive design of it. And we've got a fixed tricycle undercarriage with the aerodynamic spats on it, a little Lycoming engine on board as well. So it's a four-seater, so it's designed as a bit of a sort of touring, bit of a cruiser aircraft, very much a GA aircraft. It's heavy enough that it doesn't fall into the light sport aircraft category. In fact, it predates such a category actually existing. So yeah, it's sort of like your little weekend tour. So you sort of a bit of a very economical bit of fun. Go get your $100 hamburger and off you go and enjoy a bit of aviation fun, a bit of cross country flying. Which of course is what we're doing today. We're going to be doing a $100 hamburger run, going from a couple of my local airports. Funnily enough, we're going to be exploring today, and as we head off. So, all right. So the 3D model. So the 3D model, as I said, like my first exposure to, as I alluded to earlier, as a Robin DR400 was a very sort of low poly sort of scenery model. But this one is definitely not a low poly scenery model. Like, this is a beautiful high detailed, high definition model with lots of stuff. As we sort of the quality that we come to expect from Just Flight with their sort of attention to detail in GA aircraft sort of circles. So we come through a very highly detailed sort of engine panel. Again, every sort of bolt and rivet is all included as well. We've got inbuilt sort of landing lights built into here, the LED format of landing lights as well, so no sort of old fluorescent bulbs here. I've got a few animations in the aircraft as well, and of course some ground sort of textures as well. Now the ground equipment, so the tie downs, the chocks, they all come on as long as the engine is shut down, batteries are off, and your parking brake is on. These will naturally appear, and so the pilot will disappear. So yeah, really kind of impressive. Now it does support a full set of PBR texturing. Now this aircraft is available for all of the ESP platforms in one installer, so 32-bit or 64-bit. But if you do install it into a 64-bit prepared V4 install, then you will get the benefit of the PBR texturing for this one. So pretty damn awesome, and really nice to see how it's sort of like just seeing those like reflections coming off the airframe as well, which is really kind of cool. So there you go. Again, really beautiful, high attention to detail. Of course, I picked the Australian registration, and you know, it wasn't planned like this, but sadly, you know, it is kind of like very apt that with my country being sort of on fire at the moment, that it is a orange color scheme that the Australian livery that it comes with is in. So there you go. Anyway, all right. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. As I said, like beautiful, highly detailed model. Sort of ground. You got the ground sort of tail stripe protection skid there. Like everything is beautifully detailed. So I really like this one. Alright, okay, so enough of looking at the external model. Let's probably jump into the cockpit and let's get ourselves underway and take off and head over for heading from. So we're at Aeropelican, is the airfield that we're at here today, and then we're going to be heading off to Cessnock. We're going to be heading off to today. So let's jump in the cockpit and get ourselves underway. Alright, so here we are in the cockpit of the Robin. So it's a really, as I said, it is very much a G, as you know. So again, what Just Flight have really become very, very good at is a lot of their in-house design team is the sort of old steam gauge sort of GA aircraft here, and this one is no exception. Come through with a lot of attention to detail. I always love the sort of like the worn look that it comes with this as well. As you know, so you got your sort of placards all there. You got your paint chips to show that it's a well used and a well loved aircraft. So I think it's a really well done for this one. I love the texture setup. Now, in terms of the aircraft, as I said, it's a very basic aircraft. As I said, it's a very, it was designed as a very affordable, accessible cross-country tourer aircraft. It has dual controls as well, so although it is not sort of set up as a trainer, it does have the ability to have a sort of an instructor as well, or have secondary controls there as well. In terms of avionics, you've got pretty much the stock standard setup that we see with a lot of these sort of older sort of style aircraft. So you've got a GNS 430 unit here, and just some basic sort of setups here. The autopilot did trick me up a little bit when I was learning it, which was kind of which is a good learning of that one, and I did sort of remember to read the manual. That did help. Otherwise, yeah, as I said, just really nice setup. So I think not really much to say about that. I said, like, you know, a nice little sort of things pop down here with your charts and stuff like that. What I think would be nice, as it, yeah, okay, I'm just going to say here, this there's no, okay, so a bit of nostalgia here. So Flight Sim World, one of the cool things that Flight Sim World had was that if you saw like a manual down there, or like the headset at the top here, if you click that, that brought you up the cold and dark sort of step-by-step process here. I know it's a bit of a nostalgia thing, but it was one of those things which I thought was one of those things that was really well done in that flight sim. It's a shame that it hasn't come across into, well, yeah, it's probably a limitation to the sim, but that would be kind of cool to see that. So Microsoft, if you're listening, that would be a really cool feature that you should borrow from Flight Sim World. Yes, anyway, there you go. Otherwise, cramped sort of, or not cramped, but cozy conditions down the back there. Alright, so let's get ourselves set up for flight, I think. So first things first, okay, let's get our fuel. Okay, so rear tank. So front and rear tanks, then we're going to, so I've got our fuel there. Now, one of the things we can do here is we've got this little, there is a menu up here. Checklists, there we go. Oh wait, nope. Yeah, so there is checklists available. So these are the standard Just Flight. You sort of manually check off the thing. They're not interactive. However, there is a set of interactive checklists that you can bring up. Let me just flash up my menu here. And there it is, Start Checklist. Okay, so this one... let me just hide that menu there. There we go. So this one is an interactive checklist. So you can actually, so it will actually highlight as you go along. And I do really like this one. I think this is a really good way to do it. So it basically listens to different parameters in the aircraft and actually makes sure, and as you get them right, it'll tick them off as you go down. Alright, so first things first, we've got our brakes set, done. Carburetor heat is off. Believe me, it is hot enough. We don't need it right now. Australia, trust me on this one. I am sweltering while I'm making this review. Fuel selector, full as tank. Okay, throttle, we'll open that up a little bit to 1/4 of an inch. Alright, then we're going to be going and we're going to be turning our alternator on. Battery switch is interesting. It's a full lever there for that one. Battery switch on. Alright, now fuel pump is mixture. Okay, now I've got to remember. There's the fuel pump. The fuel pump's sort of hiding over there. There we go. Fuel pump on. Mixture is full rich. Done. Okay, magnetos. Now, actually, interestingly enough, that's actually not there in the checklist because it should be. We should have our beacon on. So we're going to put our beacon on there. So we're going to add that one. So magneto set to both. Alright, and we're going to press and hold the starter. And engine catches, comes to life. Excellent. As said, simple, clean, it works. Love it. So there you go. So we'll close that window now. So I think that's pretty much it. We'll close our canopy now. So canopy's sort of got the almost like a fighter style sort of sliding canopy there, comes back over the top of us. Alright, so next thing we're going to have to do, we're going to have to get our avionics on. So there's no sort of specific avionics switch per se. There's just driven by the battery power. Alright, I don't think we need to listen to the in-sim air traffic control today. So turn our radios on. UADME. Alright, okay. Now, we're going to... I'll leave our landing lights off for now because we don't need those. We'll turn those on when we come into land. Standard 7000. And pitot heat. You know what? I'm going to turn it on anyway. It's stupidly hot here. As we can have a look at our temperature gauge here and go. Yep. No, you know what? I'm pretty sure when the times that I've got these, I'm pretty sure it was hotter than that when this was recorded. But anyway, so I'm going to turn the pitot heat on because there is a bit of cloud kicking around. So we will turn just in case. Alright, I think we are good to go now. So turn our navigation lights on. Everything is looking good. Alright. And we have got set to nav. Alright. So, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be departing here at Pelican, and then we're going to be heading inland a little bit. We're going to be heading over one of the national parks nearby, and then we're going to be heading out and landing at Cessnock. Now, let's get ourselves on the way. I'm just checking. I'm just going to check my weather, and looks like we're going to be using 07 for our departure today. So we're going to do a bit of a taxi for this one. So let's go brakes off. Now, as we do our taxi here, so the as I said, the airfield that we're departing from today is Aeropelican. So this one is available from Orbix. As I said, the airfields that we're flying to, this one is actually some of my local airfields, as I was alluding to before. So for me, having moved to the Newcastle area, I was still finding I was nearby, but because the main sort of airfield, the area doesn't support GA traffic, and sort of it's a military base. It does have some commercial operations, but does not support sort of GA operations. Now, I think we'll taxi on the grass today. So I do believe this airfield does support a grass taxiway here. So interesting enough, but yeah, the Aeropelican strip here, and I don't know whether, because I'm pretty sure it was the home for it when this airfield was produced, so I'm curious as to why it's not featured here. Maybe it was a copyright issue. So for those who might remember the Red Bull Air Race, as I sort of switch through some of the external views here, trying not to navigate too sillily along the way. So those who remember the Red Bull Air Race that was on for many, many years, and very, very enjoyable for those that, for the time that it was. The Australian competitor in it, Matt Hall, he actually has his base of operations here at Aeropelican. So along with his, so previously he had a career in the Australian Air Force, but also he operates his sporting aircraft from here, and offers some rides in a two-seat variant of his Extra 330. But as well as that, he offers charter services and some flight training services from here as well. So it's interesting that his presence is, and the advertisements and stuff is not on this airfield. So I don't know whether there was, I'm pretty sure he was here when this airfield was made by Orbix. So not really sure what's going on there. Maybe it was a copyright thing, not sure. And the reason why I know this is because, and you'll actually see it as we depart here, because this is Lake Macquarie that we're looking at here. As we sort of fly, we'll be taking off, heading towards the ocean, then turning back around. I actually do a lot of my cycling around when I do long rides. One of my long ride routes will actually take me around Lake Macquarie, and will actually take me past this airfield, this airstrip. So I actually get to ride past it here semi-regularly when I go out and do my 100+ kilometre rides. Alright. Got a bit of long grass to get through here onto the runway here. Some avid aircraft spotters there at the end of the runway. Alrighty, so everything looks good. Alright, and one thing we didn't do RPM check, so let's do this one. Bring it up to about 1500 RPM. Saw the drop. Stable. Yep, all magnetos checked. We are good to go. Altimeter is reset, and I think it's time to depart. Roll up. Bit of a kick when she catches the power, which is always nice to, nice to experience. Very zippy though once she's in the air. Aiming for about 90-ish knots for the climb. Now 1500 feet is our minimum safe distance here, so we're safe altitude here. So we're probably going to go up to around about 2500 for our cruise today, depending on the ceiling of those clouds. Just going to start our turn here, head back over the airfield. So you can see the highway down there that runs right past the airfield. That so this is the highway that I will sort of ride along. There's a little bridge over there as well, which is a raising bridge, which is not very many of those around the world anymore, but they're still around here. A few around here. And heading over Lake Macquarie as we now turn onto our course to start heading over to Cessnock. So we're going to go over the Sugarloaf National Park. Already catching the bottom of that cloud. That is very low, that cloud. So, alright. Very key. And that is a perfect example of why you trust your instruments, because you can get very disorientated in clouds. That is a perfect example of that. What I might try and do is try and climb above that cloud, I think. Alrighty, so now that we've got above all that muck, let's keep the autopilot on and we'll have a look at some of these textures again. So the autopilot's labeled a bit weirdly. It's called Stabilizer. That's how you sort of enable it. So it sort of flashes up there. Then what we do is we've got CDI. It's fine, so we're going to go nav and nav hold a second time to actually get it engaged to actually the GPS, and then we're going to hit the altitude hold. So the altitude hold is very simple. Altitude hold, you just set, and it will actually sort of lock onto your current altitude, and that's what it will do there. So while we do that, sort of just a little bit of a rocky above the screen there. Now, interestingly enough, so there's an alert indicator over here that's actually tied to the message button on the GPS, which is kind of cool. So it sort of flashes and lets you know that that's up, and actually have to do message to continue. There you go. Anyway, right, so as I said, like, the textures are pretty cool. I like it actually felt really interesting in that climb though, because you got a lot of the buffeting effects. As I said, it's more the sim as well, but it's the fact that the flight dynamics are actually modeled correctly, so you actually get that feeling of that buffeting. I mean, even as we're sort of skimming the cloud layer here, as we're definitely feeling that as we go along. So yeah, I think it's a really well done flight model. Sort of, especially things like be able to perform and everything, and actually be able to controlling the mixture to actually bring everything down as well was also really, really important for the help of that climb. But the climb performance rates, everything seemed to be pretty much spot on. Alright, so now we'll talk about that. So let's now jump outside. So I was hoping to show you this beautiful national park that we're flying over at the moment, which unfortunately in reality is actually kind of burnt out at the moment. But this cloud apparently decided to get in the way during the review. So there you go. Anyway, so let's jump and have a look at the outside textures of this aircraft here. In a way, though, they're having the cloud there actually sort of, and being able to sort of fly above the clouds here is actually sort of a great way to actually show off that sort of reflectivity and that real sort of punchiness of the PBR texturing, and the fact of how it actually sort of changes with that sort of reflectivity of light as well, which is kind of cool. So I'll swings and roundabouts. I think we had a bit of a success there. And The lights, as you can see, sort of punch very, very nicely as well. Look pretty good at night as well when I did a nights test as well. And overall, yeah, I'm really kind of happy with this one and how it actually appears. Definitely looks the part. It's just that nice, and it's got that good worn feel to the textures that come with it as well. And as I said, the modeling you can't really fault either. It's also a good chance to actually sort of have a look underneath, as I said, that sort of canted wing style there. And again, even the nav lights, sort of how they reflect actually off that sort of off the ribbing and the sparring of the actual aircraft as well. So there's a lot of attention to detail. You can really see the impact of that PBR coming through on this design, so that's great to see. Alrighty, so as I said, I can't fault the 3D model. I think the 3D model is awesome. I think the flight dynamics and the way the dynamics are programmed, I think is really good. Having not flown in one, I can't give you 100%, but it feels like it should, especially that sort of lurching around a little bit as it's trying to control everything as you go along. Alright, so because that took a bit longer to punch through that cloud, we're going to have to do a bit of a turning descent to get back down into the Cessna field. So we might pick this video up as we turn into the approach of the airfield. So we'll wait for that very shortly. So we'll be back for this video very shortly. Alright, so we've just joined downwind. We're going to be going downwind for 17 today. The winds changed briefly, briefly, but the winds changed as we sort of was on a corkscrew sort of descent. One of the cool things about actually when Orbix have done Cessnock is they put a lot of hot air balloons around. It actually reminds me a bit of the sort of introductory flight in Microsoft Flight and in FSX as well, where you actually sort of have to sort of navigate sort of using balloons as sort of like markers and stuff. And I think it's kind of cool actually that they're there, because it is actually a big thing, sort of actually having sort of balloon flights in this area, because they've got some, as I said, some beautiful national parks and actually sort of mountain regions you can sort of see over the side there as well. A little bit too tight on that turn. Let's correct it back. Roll right back. So 2 notches of flaps in this aircraft, so sort of put the second one in once we know touchdown is assured. Right about there. Does have a bit of an impact there. Still nice and stable. A little bit to the right of center. Brakes on. Oop, a little bit squirrely on the brakes. Alright, that's my braking, I think. Alright. Turn and exit the runway. Clean the aircraft up a little bit. We taxi out. Brakes almost felt too effective. I think, maybe. Probably need to look at the response curve on my brakes, I think. Alright, so that's pretty much that. I think we'll park in this bit of GA parking over here, I think, by this RV. super lot of fun though. Alright, let's head over, let's taxi over this way. So we'll stop here. Alright, parking brake is on, and we'll go through and we shall reduce a cleaner, pull our mixture back until the engine shuts down. There we go, cuts. Alright. Oop, wrong button. There we go, them two off. Alright, nav lights to off, fuel pump off, alternator off, and so there's just one thing with the switches, because there's sort of these push button fuse type switches to turn things on and off. You push the fuse in and you pop it out to turn it off. So it's again kind of cool. Alright, and finally we will turn our avionics off so we don't have a short next time. Off and off, off, and finally is battery off. There we go. And we'll open canopy. Alright, cool story. So that was our little test flight in the Robin DR400 for the ESP platforms from Just Flight. Overall, I find it a lot of fun. It's an aircraft that it's not fast by any stretch of the imagination. It is very much falls into the sort of GA category that Just Flight have proven that they do so very well. Probably the only things that I didn't really show off in this video is that it does also include the vapor lock simulation. So if you try and run the engine for too long or try and restart it without clearing the fuel vapor in the fuel lines, you will actually sort of have issues with that as well. And if you don't sort of clean it out by running the engine richer and going through that motion as well, like you will hit problems. So that's good there. So it has a simulated battery as well, but it has the ability to recharge that all through a menu at the top there. Pretty much, as I said, I can't find too many faults with it. As I said, I think the braking, I don't know whether that braking is an issue with the aircraft or my braking. I'm not quite sure. I'm guessing probably the response curve of my brakes could probably do a bit of a look, but maybe the brakes on this could have a look at it as well. But otherwise, the performance of the aircraft in the air, which is where you want it, is pretty much, I can't fault it. I think it's pretty awesome. I'm loving the attention to detail and the texturing that the team have done from Just Flight. I think it's awesome. I think the work they've done for this one. And as I said, it's just a cute, fun aircraft to fly, and that's awesome. I love it. Great little cross-country tourer. The best thing is that you can't beat the price point, like $15. Like, that's incredible for the quality of add-on that you get as well. Is just amazing. That is awesome. Like, you just cannot go wrong with that. So, hats off to you, Just Flight, for not only doing an outstanding product, but also doing it and offering it to the community for such a steal, like a bargain price. So, thanks very much, community, to Just Flight for that. Alright, well, that does round out my review and look of the Robin DR400 for the ESP platforms. This is available from Just Flight, from their web store, or from your favorite flight sim retailer. This one is available for the full gambit of ESP platforms, so FSX, FSX Steam, and prepared in all its various forms as well. And all coming for a really awesome price, so don't forget to pick up yours if you are so inclined. Alright folks, well that does round out this review. Thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget as always to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying these videos and want to see more. And of course, as always, you can catch up with me and all the things I'm up to between videos by finding me on Facebook and on Twitter. Just search NovaWing24. Alright folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.